Leanne's Late News with Bill Woods.
Tonight, a family's anguish as a 90-year-old great-grandmother is ordered out of the country. Life behind bars for a couple who subjected an 8-year-old girl to years of abuse. And he's done it again. Leighton Hewitt makes it 2 in a row at the Adidas International. Good evening. A heartfelt plea tonight from the family of a 90-year-old great-grandmother who's been ordered to leave Australia. She's been denied refugee status even though she has 40 family members in this country and none in her war-torn homeland, Sri Lanka.
Maria Nyaki has no family or home left in Sri Lanka. Speaking through an interpreter, she says life has no meaning if the Australian government forces her to go back.
It's better to have taken poison and die rather than going back to Sri Lanka.
Known as Amma, the 90-year-old survived her home country's civil war and first applied for refugee status after arriving in Australia 3 years ago. Her second request was rejected last month and she's been told to leave.
She doesn't fit the criteria of refugee status. But in my heart, I know she's actually a refugee.
No place to live, no home to stay.
A mother of 10, grandmother and great-grandmother to 42, Amma lives in a nursing home where all costs are met by her 7 surviving children who live in Australia. Her family fears the worst if she returns to her homeland.
I don't think that she'd be able to survive, really.
The final hope lies with the government to exercise its power to intervene and allow Amma to stay on compassionate grounds. Around 8,000 people are appealing to the Immigration Minister to overrule tribunal decisions. A backlog of cases means it will be 6 to 8 months before Amma's situation is considered, and she is permitted to stay until then. And Amma's friends are hoping her stay will be permanent.
She's a very good friend of mine, and we talk and laugh and joke together and all that.
And I hope he will understand our predicament. And I feel that he needs to do something.
Kelly Curtin, 10 News.
2 people have been killed in a head-on crash on Queensland's Sunshine Coast. A 10-year-old boy and his father were rescued from one of the wrecks. His mother, the driver of the car, died on impact. Witnesses say one of the sedans veered onto the wrong side of the road, hitting the other car head-on. A third car was also collected in the carnage.
The conditions here today are good. You're left to wonder why a thing like this would happen.
A total fire ban has been slapped on Victoria, with temperatures set to soar to record levels. This afternoon, a blaze threatened homes at Cranbourne, southeast of Melbourne. Tomorrow, temperatures in the mid to high 40s will combine with strong hot winds and very low humidity. The same conditions seen during the tragic Ash Wednesday fires of 1983. A British couple has been sentenced to life in jail over a shocking case of child cruelty. Their victim, an 8-year-old girl, suffered abuse described by the judge as unimaginable.
Inside this neat block of flats in North London, 8-year-old Anna lived a life which the judge today described as unimaginable. Behind the boarded and padlocked door of the tiny bedsit in Tottenham, she was forced to live in a freezing bath in her own excrement. This photograph shows the cramped bathroom where she was kept naked except for a bin liner, her hands and feet bound. When Anna left her parents in the Ivory Coast, she was a happy, thriving child. A year and a half later, in February of last year, she died of hypothermia. There were 128 injuries to her body. Her great-aunt Marie-Therese Couot promised Anna's family she would have a better life in Europe. She wrote saying the child was well, but in reality she used her to scrounge benefits and subjected her to horrific abuse. Couot's boyfriend Carl Manning called Anna Satan. In his diary he wrote, "No matter how hard I hit her, she doesn't cry out." The detectives who investigated Anna's murder left the Old Bailey today relieved at the guilty verdicts. They have found the case extremely distressing.
It beggars belief how these 2 defendants could have inflicted such suffering on this defenseless 8-year-old child.
The various authorities acknowledged that they had the first warnings of abuse 8 months before Anna died, but the system failed her. In the final months, Couot went to services at the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, claiming Anna was possessed by demons. When the child wouldn't wake up one day, she brought her here and was told to take her to hospital. Anna died the next day, the day a service was to be held for her to cast out the devil.
A potentially deadly clotting condition known as DVT has struck down an airline worker. The Qantas flight attendant collapsed after a 15-hour flight from Sydney to Los Angeles. The Flight Attendants Association is now demanding an investigation into deep vein thrombosis, also known as economy class syndrome.
We would like to see any research and any information that's currently available on the risks.
The attendant is reported to be in a stable condition. A Sydney man has appeared in court accused of an unholy crime. He's been charged with breaking into almost a dozen churches and stealing more than $100,000 worth of property to fund his heroin habit.
42-year-old Stephen Wayne Jepson is accused of breaking the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. It's alleged from August to November last year, Jepson broke into 9 Sydney churches, 2 of them twice. Police claimed he used a street directory to select his targets. Almost all the places of worship were close to railway stations. The thefts occurred in churches of varied denominations, Catholic, Anglican, even a gospel hall. It's alleged expensive microphones were stolen from altars and musical instruments pilfered from storerooms. In one case, he allegedly begged a priest for $40 so he could travel to a job interview, then turned around and robbed the place. Strikeforce detectives allege all up Jepson stole church property valued around $113,000 and caused about $7,500 damage. It's alleged he took the stolen goods to pawn shops and used the proceeds to buy heroin. This church was preparing for its Christmas services when Jepson allegedly broke in.
The only income we have in our church is the generosity of our members, so what we lose we have to make up by that same means.
Facing 45 charges, Jepson sat laughing in court today, clutching his heart and feigning disappointment when refused bail. Detectives plan to charge him with another 200 offences. Interstate Police, investigating similar crimes, also want a word with him. He'll reappear in court next week. Sean Fewings, 10 News.
Hotel owners are pleading with the Howard government to spare drinkers from another tax hike. Beer, along with cigarettes and petrol, are set to cost more from next month due to an excise increase and the GST.
The warm weather should be putting a smile on hoteliers' faces, but they're hot under the collar, facing another price rise 7 months after having to up the cost of a beer because of the new tax system.
This is having an impact upon hoteliers, upon our members and upon the average Australian.
Under the government's twice-yearly excise rise, the average price of a middy will increase by 5 cents from February the 1st. Petrol will rise by about 2 cents a litre, and for smokers, the average price of a packet of cigarettes will jump by 40 cents. The larger than usual increases blamed on the inflationary impact of the GST.
This is a massive tax rise for the industry to have to deal with, and we're really asking for some relief from the government.
The opposition also demanding relief for motorists.
If it takes the GST impact out of the February indexation, the price of petrol could come down around 2 cents a litre.
But a government spokesperson says the tax increase on beer, fuel and cigarettes has been linked to the rise in the cost of living since the excise was introduced under the Hawke Labor government, and the latest increases have been known about for months. Already figures show a 5% drop in beer consumption in bars since 1994 and a rise in the sales of home brewing kits. Motorists, though, could be the hardest hit, the excise rise coinciding with the jump in world oil prices later this month. Sue Fitzpatrick, 10 News.
Still ahead in the late news, a 2-year-old dies in a river drowning. Dozens injured when fire breaks out on the set of a children's television show. And another member of the animal kingdom joins the growing list of clones.
When it comes to love,
Stop!
some take it real slow.
Maybe I should.
Or, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
Others just dive on in.
Sorry.
All new episodes of Party of 5, 7:30 Sunday on 10.
Introducing new Canton rice and noodle bowls. Delicious Asian meals low in fat and ready in an instant. And with 6 varieties to choose from, you can't go wrong with Canton.
Hey man, Hyundai dealers are celebrating January with deals so hot, they're cool. Hyundai Accent, voted Australia's best smart car, $14,990 with free air. Ooh man. See the roomy new Elantra and the hot new Santa Fe. Yeah! cool. Big trading deals and a long warranty. V6 Sonata running out at only 23,500. Drive away with here. Hyundai. Take another look today, man.
James Saddlery is in Tamworth. Check out these festival specials. El Paso saddle now only $549. Cowtown boots from $200. Elastic-sided boots $80. White hats from $25. Oilskins from $70. Leather coats from $220. Super jean clearance. All-purpose saddles $260. Champion drafter saddle $15.95. And with all saddles, you also receive a free set of mounts. Plus, James Saddlery free mobile phone offer. But be quick. James Saddlery, right next door to Strathfield Car Radio, Tamworth.
The farm is my life. It's my office out there. I just love the freedom, the sun, the sweat, the physical side of it. Living on the land isn't a place for a wimp. I'd much rather sit around a boardroom table with 20 cows than 20 men in suits. I love cows.
Monday, prepare for takeoff.
It's going to be fun.
As we meet the people who keep the business flying.
They hide it and you seek it.
There's never a dull moment.
I like to be in charge.
All new LAX, 7:30 Monday on 10.
You're watching 10's Late News. A 2-year-old boy has died in a drowning accident in South Australia. The toddler disappeared while paddling with his mother in the River Murray.
Police divers spent all day scouring the river near Renmark, 250 kilometres northeast of Adelaide, but they found no sign of the missing boy. The 2.5-year-old had spent the week camping nearby with his parents. About 7 o'clock last night, he was paddling in the shallows as his mother watched, but suddenly fell backwards and disappeared.
The child fell into the deep water and the mother tried to save him but was unable to, and then obviously raised the alarm, and the father tried as well, but by that time it was too late.
The boy was not wearing any flotation device, and it's believed he may have been startled or bumped by the family dog, which was also in the water. The first search was conducted at midnight last night, but even by daylight, conditions didn't give divers much hope of finding the boy's body.
Obviously dark, you can't see. A little bit of current, and there's lots of snags, as with all diving in the Murray.
The child's mother is being treated for shock in the Renmark Hospital. Police issued this warning to other holiday makers spending time on the river.
And the river's a beautiful place, but it's also very dangerous. You have to be very careful. Children should wear flotation devices or life jackets and be watched at all times.
A report's being prepared for the coroner. Fiona Clark, 10 News.
A police chase in Melbourne has ended in a high-speed car crash. The pursuit began after the attempted armed robbery of a convenience store and ended when the bandit crashed into another vehicle. The occupants had to be cut from the wreckage before being taken to hospital. And late this afternoon there was another high-speed chase. A suspected stolen car was pursued for 5 kilometres before the two occupants leapt from the vehicle and were chased on foot. A 22-year-old man and a 15-year-old girl were arrested. A fire emergency in Brazil after a blaze broke out during the filming of a children's television show. A short circuit sent flames shooting through a spaceship set, sparking panic among actors and 300 people in the audience. 26 were injured. The victims taken to hospital suffering smoke inhalation, burns and other injuries. Another member of the animal kingdom has joined the growing list of clones. This time, American scientists have genetically engineered a species of ox under threat of extinction.
Noah was born this week in Iowa in a scientific first.
So we were all terribly excited when he was born. He was born, totally alive, healthy. He was kicking around, bellowing. He was absolutely adorable there with his big blue eyes, his ears twitching. He was just like a little baby reindeer.
But baby Noah died 2 days later from a bacterial infection, not linked to cloning.
We're still in shock to try to figure out what was going on with the calf.
Noah was from the Gaur species, native to Southeast Asia and India. Only 30,000 remain in the world. Scientists created him from the frozen cells of an ox that died 8 years ago, kept in a frozen zoo, along with cells of other endangered animals. DNA from one cell was put into the egg of a cow and implanted in Noah's surrogate mother, Bessie. Despite the setback, scientists believe Noah's birth will usher in a new era for conservation biology.
We still certainly have a long way to go, but as this new technology evolves, we believe that it has the potential to rescue dozens of species teetering on the verge of extinction.
The breakthrough is expected to lead to cloning of other species like pandas and cheetahs, and another attempt to clone an ox like Noah. In the United States, Pam Mackay, 10 News.
Sport is next with Leanne West.
Thanks, Billy. Coming up, another major controversy for Jelena Dokic. Also, Leighton Hewitt's win at the Adidas International. We'll have golf. We'll have the Saturday night basketball and soccer results. And Brett Lee on the comeback for tomorrow's one-day international.
A crime is committed. You reach a verdict. But this time, justice has no defense. Demi Moore, Alec Baldwin, and James Gandolfini. In the thriller, The Juror, 8:30 Sunday.
Carbohydrates for fuel, protein and calcium for muscle and bone strength. What growing bodies need is in Kellogg's Nutri-Grain.
The next generation of capsule has arrived. An Australian first, Heron's new Capsule compresses the paracetamol to a size 33% smaller than ordinary capsules, then seals it for safety. So try the next generation of capsule that relieves pain and is much easier to swallow.
New Capsule from Heron, the leading Australian-owned brand of pain reliever.
Where in the world am I going to find a battery for this? Battery World has batteries for everything. I found my jet battery and picked up a new battery for my wife's car, a marine battery for the boat, a spare battery for my mobile phone, even a bike battery for the old home. Battery World. Power for anything, anytime. Phone 13 17 60. All Seasons Darling Harbour Hotel, a great hotel, right in the heart of one of the greatest cities in the world, with all the fun and attractions of the world-renowned Darling Harbour right on your doorstep. All Seasons Darling Harbour Hotel, all yours for just $179 a night in a superior king room with late checkout, breakfast for two, parking, and if you want to bring the kids, a second room for just $95. An extra special deal from one of Sydney's very special hotels, All Seasons Darling Harbour Hotel.
Reports tonight that Jelena Dokic will play under the Yugoslav flag at the Australian Open. The 17-year-old says she feels betrayed by Australia and will leave her adopted country for good straight after the tournament. Meantime, a shot of confidence for Leighton Hewitt's Open campaign. He's won the Adidas International for the second year running, and it took just 85 minutes against world number 4, Magnus Norman.
It was billed as the battle of the young guns, and the first set was a shootout between two of the hardest workers in the game. Overcast conditions made the going much easier than yesterday's scorcher, though Hewitt's court coverage, as usual, was hot. Come on! Games went on serve, though neither player was looking particularly convincing. Hewitt with his best chance to break the big Swede's serve in game number 10, and he grabbed the opportunity, closing the first set out 6-4 and casting an early eye on back-to-back Sydney titles.
First set for Hewitt. What a way to finish it.
The 19-year-old sapping the confidence of Norman, breaking serve once and then twice to hold an unassailable 4-0 lead in the second set.
And Hewitt hits the Swede with a double rummy in the second set.
Norman struggling with his game, but Hewitt just kept getting better. The Aussie cruising to victory to defend his crown. A perfect warm-up for the first Grand Slam of the year. The women's title was going to be just as hard to pick. The top two seeds again to fight for the win. Number 1 seed Martina Hingis up against fierce rival and second seed Lindsay Davenport. Both big stars made nervous starts, dropping serve in the opening 4 games of the match. Hingis finally held, but Davenport was broken again, and the world number 1 closed out the set 6-3. Lindsay held serve for just the second time early in set 2. No such worries for Hingis though, who was in lethal touch and looked home when she got the break and led 4-3.
But that's her favourite serve.
But the defending Australian Open champ hit back and broke back, and the Swiss Miss was left looking for a new racket. Hingis broken again, and Davenport had the set, the final to go the distance. The action just getting better as two of the best in the business fought out a nail-biter. The defining point, though, for Davenport, an absolute shocker. The overhead smash gone wrong, handing Hingis the service break, and from there she served out the match, taking the championship 7-5 in the third and finding time to hand out some fashion tips for Ian Thorpe.
I like your outfit.
Hingis last won the title 4 years ago. Leighton Hewitt, the first player since Pete